We begin with Casey Anthony's murder trial. 3 years after Caleey Anthony was first reported missing, her mother was found not guilty in a Florida courtroom, sparking an outpouring of emotion from coast to coast. We begin our coverage this morning with correspondent Troy Roberts of 48 Hours Mystery, who's outside the courthouse in Orlando. Troy, good morning.
Good morning, Erica. Against all odds, Casey Anthony beat the most serious charges against her. Tomorrow, she'll be sentenced for lying to investigators, but she may be released on time served.
As to the charge of first-degree murder,
after 31 days of testimony, 91 witnesses, and less than 11 hours of deliberation, the jury deciding the case against Casey Anthony finally reached its verdict.
we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty.
As the 25-year-old wept in court, the jury cleared her of all 3 charges related to her 2-year-old daughter, Caleey's death: first-degree murder, aggravated manslaughter, and aggravated child abuse.
This court is in recess.
After a moment of celebration with her defense team, Anthony's lead attorney, Jose Baez, said justice was served.
Casey did not murder Caleey. It's that simple. Today, our system of justice has not dishonored her memory by a false conviction.
It was a trial that captivated the media and much of the nation. Across Orlando, bars and restaurants were packed with viewers, while a passionate crowd of hundreds reacted to the not guilty verdict outside the Orange County Courthouse.
Justice for Caleey!
The most well-documented liar ever seen in a courtroom.
District attorneys pinned their case on Casey's pathological lying and the duct tape found on Caleey's remains, but there was no DNA or fingerprints linking Casey to the crime.
This was a dry bones case. Very, very difficult to prove. Our mountain of evidence did not eliminate, in the jury's view, every reasonable doubt.
Her defense team claimed the 2-year-old accidentally drowned in the family pool and that George Anthony, Caleey's grandfather, helped cover it up, an allegation he denied. After the verdict, an attorney for George Anthony released a statement saying, despite the baseless defense chosen by Casey Anthony, the family believes that the jury made a fair decision based on the evidence presented. The jury of 7 women and 5 men declined to comment on the controversial decision.
Didn't show us how Caleey died, and that was important. No one could answer that.
But an alternate juror said something didn't add up and called the Anthony family dysfunctional.
The family knows a lot more than what came out at the trial.
George and Cindy Anthony's attorney says the couple have received numerous death threats. It's unclear if they'll attend their daughter's hearing tomorrow. Erica?
Troy Roberts in Orlando. Troy, thanks. Also at the courthouse in Orlando this morning, former prosecutor Vinnie Politan. He's also host of HLN Special Report and an anchor for In Session.
And here in the studio is Jennifer Berenger, a former defense lawyer for Casey Anthony, who's been consulting with the defense team during the trial. Good morning to the both of you.
Morning.
Jennifer, I'm going to start with you here in New York. Were you confident all along that the prosecution was never going to be able to directly link Casey Anthony with the death of her daughter?
I knew that they wouldn't be able to actually link her, but I was a little concerned that maybe a jury would not apply the law as properly as this jury had. I mean, oftentimes it's a very emotional case and, of course, a tragedy. So if they became emotional, there's just no way to know which way they would go. As you can tell, everybody's got a big stake in this case.
Yeah.
So.
Vinny, as a former prosecutor, we spoke a little bit about this yesterday. You seemed fairly confident that the prosecution had done a really sound job. You mentioned the way the jury was reacting to the defense, giving you an idea that maybe this would not be good for the defense. Of course, things happened otherwise. Anything as a former prosecutor you think the prosecution should have done differently?
Not at all. Not at all. And it comes down to reasonable doubt. You know, this is a criminal defendant's best friend. It's our system. It's the foundation of our system, reasonable doubt. This jury found it reasonable to believe that a grandfather would see his granddaughter drown in an innocent manner with no criminal liability, take that innocent accident, cover it up to frame his own daughter for first-degree murder and watch her have to battle a potential death penalty. They found it reasonable. So under our system, she's not guilty.
Jennifer, Jose Baez took his fair share of criticism throughout this trial. But in the end, really kind of emerges as a guy who really played this, an attorney who played this very, very well. Like you even mentioned, the court of public opinion had convicted her long ago, but he was able to provide enough doubt in the jurors' minds that they were able to respond the way they did.
That's right. I mean, I think the problem that the state had was that you don't have a jury looking for a murderer if you can't prove murder to begin with. So most likely, we don't know what the jury hung on, but one of the alternates had come out, and even though he didn't deliberate, he came out and said, you know, they couldn't prove cause of death. And if we're all talking about chloroform, the tape, all these other things that were so salacious, but I imagine the jury didn't even get to discuss those because they couldn't get to murder. If you can't get there, you're not looking for a murderer.